Welcome back to Satoshi's Daily Podcast.
Right. Let's dive into this Bitcoin thing. Everyone's talking about it, price swings, mining, government stepping in. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
We dug up 3 Telegraph articles to help us, figure it all out.
This thing's good.
We'll look at Bitcoin's hash rate. It just hit a record high, which I don't know you, but I don't fully get what that even means.
Yeah.
And then there's this whole open interest thing. Apparently, it's over $40 billion now.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, to top it off, governments are talking about taxing, maybe even banning Bitcoin. So, yeah, wild stuff. To help us unpack all this, we've got expert speaker with us. Their insights on finance and tech are always spot on.
Thanks for having me.
So glad you could join us. Let's jump right in. This hash rate thing, Bitcoin just hit 769.8 EHs. I mean, what does it even mean for, the average person with a little bit of Bitcoin?
Yeah. Think of it like this. You've got this giant vault, right? And that's where everyone's Bitcoin is stored. The hash rate, that's basically the combined computing power protecting that vault.
Okay, so more power means a more secure vault.
Exactly. More hash rate equals more security. It makes it really expensive, really hard to attack the network.
So this 769 point whatever EHs thing,
Yeah.
that's a good thing. It means Bitcoin is more secure.
Exactly. Good for everyone holding Bitcoin, no matter how much.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But there's this halving event happening in 2024. I'm a little fuzzy on the details, but it sounds important.
Yeah, definitely. So you've got these miners, right? They're like the guardians of this vault we talked about, constantly adding new blocks to the Bitcoin blockchain.
Unfollowing.
They get rewarded with Bitcoin for their work.
Makes sense.
Now, every 4 years, that reward gets cut in half. That's the halving.
Interesting.
It's built into Bitcoin's code to control the supply, prevent inflation.
So it's like built-in scarcity.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. But if the miners are getting paid less for the same amount of work, doesn't that impact the hash rate?
You got it. That's the big question. As the reward goes down, it gets tougher for miners, especially the smaller ones. Less profit means they need to be more efficient to keep going.
So we could see some miners drop out.
Possibly. We might see more consolidation, bigger companies with more resources taking the lead.
Fascinating how that works. So it's a bit of a trade-off then.
Yeah, you could say that.
More security, but maybe less.
Decentralization.
Yeah, decentralization.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about this open interest thing. Hit $40 billion in the Bitcoin futures market.
Yeah, big number.
It is. What does it even mean, though? Why should I care about open interest?
Okay, so imagine a bunch of people placing bets on where Bitcoin's price is going. That's basically the futures market.
Okay.
Open interest, that's the total value of all those bets that are still active.
Gotcha.
Gives you an idea of how much money is riding on Bitcoin's future price.
So high open interest, like we're seeing now.
It means things could get interesting.
Interesting how?
Well, it cuts both ways, right? More money in the game. It can amplify moves in either direction.
So it could mean a big jump up
Or
or...
a big drop.
So how do we know which way it's going to go?
That's the million-dollar question. No crystal ball, unfortunately.
Right.
But you got to look at the context, right? Open interest rising, along with good news, strong buying, that could be a sign of a surge coming.
Makes sense.
But if it's going up while the price is dropping,
Oh.
that might mean people are piling into bets that it's going to fall even further.
So it's all about reading the signs, looking at everything together.
Exactly. Not just one thing in isolation.
You mentioned big price drops. Makes me think about what happened in August. Could this open interest mean we're in for another one of those?
It's possible, yeah. Something to watch out for, especially if you're using leverage.
Leverage being
Borrowing money to trade amplifies your gains, but...
also your losses.
Exactly. And if a lot of leveraged traders are betting the wrong way and the price starts to turn,
They get nervous,
they might have to sell to cover their losses.
which pushes the price down even more.
And then others might panic sell.
Domino effect.
Exactly. Liquidation cascade. Can get ugly fast.
Sounds like a wild ride. Maybe not for the faint of heart.
Bitcoin's always had its ups and downs, part of what makes it exciting.
Right. But, do you think it'll always be this volatile?
Hard to say for sure. It's still early days for Bitcoin, relatively speaking.
Right.
Still a lot of unknowns. Regulation, adoption, how it fits into the whole financial system. That uncertainty contributes to the volatility.
Makes sense. So buckle up, I guess.
Something like that.
Speaking of things that are a bit uncertain, let's get back to those government concerns. This paper from the Minneapolis Fed saying Bitcoin could mess with how they manage the economy.
Yeah, I got people talking.
It did. Are they specifically targeting Bitcoin, or is it more about, like, any currency that's decentralized and has a fixed supply?
I think it's both. Bitcoin's the biggest, most established crypto, so it's naturally the focus.
The guinea pig kind of.
Yeah, in a way. But the underlying issues apply to any currency that operates outside of, like, central bank control.
Right. Fixed supply, decentralized. That's like the whole point of Bitcoin. Right?
Exactly. And that challenges the tools governments have used for decades to manage their economies.
Like printing more money whenever they want.
That's one way to put it. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about money.
And some people are saying this is a good thing, right? Like getting away from government control of money.
Absolutely. It's a huge part of the appeal for a lot of people. Money that exists outside of traditional systems.
But governments, they're used to being in control.
It's a power struggle, no doubt. Old systems versus new technology. Fascinating to watch it play out.
Totally. And you know, it's interesting. It's like, while all this is happening, regular people, they seem less interested in Bitcoin than they were a few years ago. Remember that article about public interest being down?
Yeah, it's strange, right? Bitcoin's achieving all these milestones, building this incredible technology, and yet
People are looking the other way.
it makes you wonder, what's it going to take to get everyone's attention again? Yeah, it's like this weird disconnect, you know?
Totally. So what's it going to take? Another price surge? Or maybe like some killer app for Bitcoin that no one's even thought of yet?
It's hard to say. Could be a lot of things. Maybe some big regulation comes along, makes things more clear, you know, more legit.
Yeah, makes sense.
Or maybe it's just like a gradual realization. People start to see how this tech could actually change things.
It's true. I mean,
Does it really change things?
like Bitcoin's this quiet little engine just chugging along, building something amazing while everyone else is distracted by the latest, whatever.
Right, exactly.
It reminds me of the early internet days. Like, nobody knew what to make of it at first.
And now look at it.
Exactly.
What?
Sometimes these big shifts, they take a while to really sink in.
For sure. But one thing's for certain, Bitcoin's already got the ball rolling. It's changed how we think about money, about the whole system. There's no going back now.
That's a great point. Well said. Well, we covered a lot of ground today, didn't we? Hash rate, open interest, governments, the whole shebang.
That's a lot to process, for sure.
It is, but it's important,
Yeah.
Because the more you understand about how this stuff works, the better prepared you'll be.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, right? Especially in this space.
Couldn't agree way more. Now, before we go, I want to leave you with something to think about. We talked about governments maybe trying to ban Bitcoin, but in a world that's becoming more and more decentralized, can you really ban something like that?
That's a good question.
It is, right? Like, how do you control something that's designed to be uncontrollable? It's a debate that's just getting started, but it has huge implications for the future, for finance, for freedom, for, like, who really holds the reins in this digital age we're living in. So, yeah, something to ponder.
Yeah.
Anyway, expert speaker, thanks so much for joining me today. This was great.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to everyone listening, thanks for diving in with us. If you want to dig deeper into anything we talked about today, check out the show notes for links to the articles. Until next time, stay curious, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
This concludes today's analysis of the Bitcoin market. We'll be back tomorrow with more data-driven insights.